What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. It is Kellen Nitro. First of all, 100 subscribers plus. Awesome. Thank you very much. This is the first time I've had a chance to really address that since we hit that number. To the moon! We're like them stonks, baby. Just going to the moon. Put the rocket ship to us. Yeah, but it's Nitro's take for Fastlane. It was a network special pay-per-view type event. This is the Nitro's take for WWE Fastlane 2021. It took place on March 21st, 2021 from the Thunderdome in St. Petersburg, Florida. And this was the last pay-per-view prior to the two-night WrestleMania that will take place on April 10th and 11th from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Joining me as a guest contributor in this review, as if he hasn't contributed enough to this channel already, and I mean that from the very bottom of my heart. He is one of my favorite contributors that we've got. He's so big, you call him Mr. It's Mr. TL.
Hey, Mr. TL is in the house. I enjoy the Mr. And congratulations to you on the subscriptions.
Thank you very much. And you, my friend, are a small part of that. So thank you for your contributions as well.
You're welcome.
I can be nice. I swear I can be nice. Anyway.
I cannot.
Oh, okay.
No.
Wow. All right. But anyway.
I can be polite. I can be friendly. I can be classy. I can be charming. I can't be nice.
All right. So you will be stern.
Like Howard, baby.
Okay. There. All right. Anyways. Man. WWE Fastlane 2021. Of course, I don't think you caught the pre-show because you tend to not catch the pre-shows. And I just by happenstance caught the pre-show because the NWA pay-per-view that was scheduled for the same time was only 2 hours long. So instead of 3 hours, so it actually fit in really nicely. So by the way, watch for a Nitro's take on that later on in the week as well.
Okay. Okay.
That'll be good. Yeah. NWA Back for the Attack aired earlier on in the day today on March 21st, and it was a very solid show. That's all I'm going to say about that for right now. I will discuss that more and further in that video. But
all right.
So that show ended an hour earlier than I thought it would. So I was actually able to catch the pre-show for Fastlane. And it's a good thing I did because it's kind of a serious plot point hit. I'm not sure. But the pre-show match was for the United States Championship. Riddle retained over Mustafa Ali with Retribution in 9/16. And afterwards, we saw what looks to be at least either the split of Retribution or the fact that they've ousted Ali as the leader, Mr. TL, because at the end of the match, Ali grabs a mic, doesn't want Retribution to help him up off the mat, and so he crawls up and starts berating each member of Retribution again, which has kind of been in storyline over the past few weeks. And then all of a sudden, one by one, starting with Reckoning, a.k.a. Mia Yim, she leaves. Then Slapjack, a.k.a. Shane Thorne, he leaves. And that leaves Ali in the ring with both T-Bar and Mace, Dio Madden and Donovan Dijakovic, whatever, in the ring.
Well done.
And thank you. It ended up, they ended up hitting their tandem choke slam finisher on Ali. So it appears that either Retribution is no more or Retribution just gassed their leader. Either way, some changes being made for Retribution, which was kind of a major plot point to the show.
So you are 1,000% correct. I did not watch the pre-show because I got things to do, man. Come on now. Like, people are struggling to get through 4 hours of what's that DC film that they just recut?
Justice League. Yes.
Justice League. That is
I have
right.
not seen that. I have not seen
But
it
I'm saying,
yet.
like, people struggle to get through 4 hours of that. They're going to go for a 4 straight on some wrestling? Like,
Nope.
People got to live a little bit. Come on now. Can't be watching pre-shows and then the big, long show. Like, come on.
Like I said, the only reason why I caught the pre-show was because the show that I was watching prior to this ended early. So.
Oh, no, that's not a knock on you. That's just a knock on WWE not being very not being very, conscientious about people's time. They're not considerate. But this part of the show did actually come up later in the pay-per-view when they did a flashback and recap of what happened. And yeah, Mustafa Ali has been ousted as the leader, I guess, of Retribution. And who cares? Because that faction was trash. It was the worst thing of 2020, according to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mustafa Ali don't have what it takes, in my opinion. He's terrible on a microphone. He's okay in a ring. He's too small to do anything important. Good riddance. I hope this whole thing just disbands. Everyone goes back to NXT and they can start over again.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, that is that might be the direction they go with. They might be deciding to go with a new leader for Retribution, maybe somebody from the mid card, but I can't really think of anybody that would be unless they move the entire faction to SmackDown. Maybe Seth Rollins is the new leader. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but
kill it. Kill it with fire. Seriously.
I think you could probably, if that's the case, if you're completely scrapping the faction, obviously Mia Yim with her HBIC gimmick, the head bitch in charge gimmick that she was doing in NXT, if you had her do that on either brand, would be pretty good, at least out of the gate. That would at least get her, I would think, in the title scene for whatever brand she would be on for at least a title match, just because she's that good of a worker.
Are you saying to put her in charge of Retribution?
No, I'm saying this is just hypothetically if Retribution is done.
Oh, okay.
This is where I'd like to see them all go. Shane Thorne, I think if you put him back, he could be one of the guys that migrates back down to NXT and kind of establishes a singles career for himself, because he was just starting to do that. And then they plucked him out for job duty last year in 2020 during the pandemic, and it kind of derailed him a little bit. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. Dijakovic and Madden are established as a tag team because they have a tandem finisher. Let them be a tag team and just figure out which brand you're going to put them on, whether it would be NXT, Raw, or SmackDown. I wouldn't mind seeing them on Raw, still be on Raw, and maybe make a concerted effort for them to go after the tag titles, just so it's not exclusively New Day and Street Profits, or New Day and whoever else all the time for the tag belts. I mean, like, literally you're parachuting in AJ Styles and Almost at WrestleMania to take on the New Day for the tag titles. I mean, that's not really an established team. That's a heel and a heel bodyguard going against the New Day. So
wait. Oh, that's what they're doing?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Because they got
that's all I got to say to that.
They have two nights of content. They have 2 nights of content that they have to fill, Mr. TL. 2 nights of content.
And they're going to waste AJ Styles in a tag team match with a guy that hasn't wrestled yet?
That has not made his debut, yeah.
Well, except for that Fight Club thing they had and then got rid of, much like Retribution, when they had terrorists take over the show at the very end and then just got rid of it because they signed them.
That's right.
Like, there's just too much stupidity. There's no logic in anything.
Welcome to WWE Creative. Everything's made up and the points don't matter. Anyway, let's go to the main pay-per-view. And the opening contest was, another big plot point because it involved your wifey, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair versus Jax and Shayna Baszler.
That's my wifey.
What's that?
That's my wifey, yo.
That's your
wifey in the building.
There you go.
I mean, she's opening the show, but whatever. I mean, you got to kick it off with a little something special, I guess.
To be fair, the match was 9:45. It was a passable match, but again, big storyline dropping there for Mania, because you actually had the buddy act that Bianca and Sasha have had the past few weeks on SmackDown is no more. It sounds like it's hostilities now, because Bianca is blaming Sasha for the way they lost the match. Sasha is blaming Bianca for the way they lost the match. So I think we have the genesis of our SmackDown women's title match for WrestleMania there. That's going to be the germination of it all.
Which is what I wanted. I wanted that, but I wanted that to sprout a little bit earlier so they had time to really delve into it. I mean, how long are we away from WrestleMania?
It's March 21st. Mania Night 1's on April 10th, so 3 weeks.
That's it. They've got 3 weeks to. They needed to let this go to brew this a little bit more to get that hate on.
Mm-hmm. So there we go.
Yeah. But that match itself, I mean, listen, Shayna Baszler, she was an MMA fighter. She's transitioned to wrestling. She does all right. Bianca Belair looks green in there. I'm sorry. Like, she's got a good look and she wrestles sort of well, but I mean, she looks green. Sasha Banks is a legend. I'm just saying it. She totally is. She's the most underrated women's wrestler in all of wrestling. Nia Jax bugs me. She just bugs me. You know why? She needs to go back and watch some of the big men work in wrestling and take some hints and take some notes. Like, watch an old Yokozuna match. Like, I don't think she understands that she on TV, I don't know if it's real, but on TV, she looks 3 times the size as everybody else in the ring. And but she don't wrestle like that. She wrestles like she's the same size as everybody. It's like just a simple thing. Like, she whips Bianca Belair into the corner and it's just a very light little, and she just kind of like lazily, just kind of flops in the corner. No big deal. It's like, if that was Yokozuna, Bret Hart's going face first into that turnbuckle and falling down, or Shawn Michaels is going over the top rope and selling like he just got thrown by a tsunami. Like, use your weight and your strength as an asset. Like, work like a big person, because in that division you absolutely are. But it bugs me.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go as far as to say look at the big men. I think you can look at the big women from the 90s. Look at a Bertha Faye. Look at a Bull Nakano. These are larger statured ladies that actually worked fairly competently in the ring and also didn't hurt their opponents. Like, I think Alundra Blaze said it best. Medusa, Alundra Blaze, same person. She said that her number one dream partner to have in a ring was Bull Nakano, because she knew that she'd be walking out of the ring most nights at 100%. That she'd be actually walking out of the ring at the end of the match.
Now that you mentioned that does make me wonder, is it that Nia Jax works ultra light and not big because she hurts too many people?
Yeah, I think she's a little gun shy. Sure. I think that's probably a fair statement to make.
So if she tries hard enough, she will kill somebody, but if she doesn't try at all, it looks terrible. So basically, she's a horrible wrestler. Go back to development and learn.
Yeah, but it's WWE. You have like people that we would probably classify as horrible wrestlers strewn all throughout the roster. So
yeah, but this is a real big standout.
Yeah, well, obviously.
WWE doesn't have a lot of people strewn about that are just terrible wrestlers, though. Everybody there is pretty much a professional. You know what I mean? It's just that Nia Jax really stands out as somebody who just can't work. I don't know what her deal is.
Good point. Yeah.
Go back and fix that before you get fired and you ended up on who knows what show, and then you get exposed that you're terrible.
But Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair going head to head now at Mania, and we've got the official germination of that. You're cool with it? How it all went down?
I'm okay with it. I just wish that they put a little bit more into it, that it actually has some heat behind it, that there's a definitive Sasha Banks is the heel and Bianca Belair is the face on this one, but I don't know if they're really going to pull that off, because people really like Sasha Banks. She's my wifey and they should like her. But I mean, that aside, it's just, I don't know if they can pull that off, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens with that for sure. Well, and I'm sure they'll do something with the women's tag titles either before Mania or during Mania, because again, they got 2 nights of content they got to fill. So like, geez, do something. And the problem is that it doesn't seem like they're going to be pulling from NXT this year too, because they went and they decided to make NXT a 2-night deal as well earlier in the week of Mania.
My God.
So it's night 1 and night 2 of the stand and deliver takeover that they're doing. From the Capitol Wrestling Center again. They're not even taking the NXT talent to Tampa, it sounds like. And then the NXT stars aren't going to be involved on anything on the Mania card, it sounds like, unless you have somebody make a debut during the Andre the Giant Battle Royal or whatever. So
So they're going with quantity over quality as per the WWE way, and we all just got to sit down and watch all this stuff.
They have two-night shows, which will encapsulate 4 nights of programming on Mania week, let alone your usual stuff. So Raw, SmackDown, Mondays and Fridays. So they have literally 6 nights of television that they'll have to produce. And each of them will be 2 to 3 hours long.
They need to watch their ass. Because seriously, no, because this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They are losing so much money on not having a gate of people coming in and buying tickets to watch the shows live. So they're trying to pump out as much content as they can to get it on TV, to get the sponsors and advertising and whatever on there. But if they don't put on good shows, then people will not come back to the show when it goes live again.
Yeah.
I don't know if they understand this or not.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that the only live gate that they're going to have throughout the entire week is going to be for night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania, because they are allowed to open up Raymond James Stadium to half capacity, so 30,000 fans, basically.
And that'll be pretty good for them. It's fans and everything, and you'll get some sound, you'll get a lot of reactions or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, like, if you don't put on quality, people aren't going to come back.
Yeah, good point.
And this might be the mid 90s again, before the Attitude Era, when like they start working smaller houses.
Yeah.
Speaking of mid 90s, how about this next match?
Okay, Intercontinental Championship. Big E. Well, before we get to that, I think this is when the vignette ran where they were playing this angle out where Shane McMahon, quote unquote, hurt his knee during training earlier in the day, and he walks out of the trainer, limps out of the trainer, again, air quotes, limps out of the trainer's room, and Elias and Jackson Riker are hanging out outside, and Elias wants to get on the WrestleMania card in some way, in some form, and Shane says, I have an idea, follow me. So, of course, planting precursor for something, but you could tell right there that this advertised Strowman versus Shane McMahon match that was supposed to happen on this card, it ain't going to happen. They're pulling the bait and switch. So, anyway, that's all I'm
saying about that. Who's the mute guy that was next to Elias?
Jackson Riker.
Who is that?
So, he was part of a tag team called the Forgotten Sons in NXT.
Great name.
And SmackDown. 2 out of the 3 of the Forgotten Sons were fired because they were expressing alt-right views. Like, this is legit, alt-right views on Twitter. So so he's the last one of the Forgotten Sons, and they just paired him with Elias as kind of like his groupie or hardcore fan or whatever, I guess.
Well, first of all, he looks like Elias, except he's not wearing clothes, and he's mute.
And there's a reason why Jackson Riker doesn't talk.
So
go back and rewatch some of those Forgotten Sons promos, and you'll figure out a reason why he doesn't talk. So,
forgotten is a key word.
Yes, there we go. But anyways, so Intercontinental title match.
Yes,
Big E, the champion, defeats Apollo Crews in 5:45. Apollo Crews, now apparently from Wakanda.
Yeah, what the hell is this? What the absolute hell is this?
What is this?
They gave him a spear? They gave him a spear! Not an edge kind of spear, like a piece of wood handle with a piece of sharp metal on top. Oh my God. Why is WWE this? Why? It hurts my brain. I want to tear my hair out. Like they make Drew McIntyre look like friggin' Braveheart, and they make Apollo.
That's upcoming.
That is upcoming.
That's upcoming.
But even before that, he's got a kilt and he's got a sword and bagpipe music, and the drums and everything because he's Drew McIntyre. But
yeah.
That was even before that. But now you've got Apollo Crews as a Nigerian with an accent, and he carries a spear. Are you kidding me?
He's of Nigerian royalty.
Okay.
That's how they explain
when?
it. Just explain it. So I missed a couple of weeks of SmackDown, but I caught last week's episode of SmackDown here. So the most recent one going into the pay-per-view. And that's how they explained it, is that flat out when they had the whole thing where Big E was chasing Apollo through the Thunderdome with the golf cart and everything like that. That was on SmackDown last week. They explained it that, well, he's of Nigerian royalty, that he did some research and he's like removed from Nigerian royalty. Again, this is the crazy storyline writing of WWE in 2021, which is lousy. But
you mean to tell me he went on Ancestry.com, found out that he was Nigerian royalty, and did he found that accent somewhere?
You have to admit, it was consistent throughout the entire match and the entire presentation. Like, he's got that Nigerian accent down.
Apollo Crews used to be happy guy looking like Kevin Hart on steroids, walking out and being, oh, yeah, I'm here. I'm so happy. Let me do a flip for you. And all of a sudden, he puts on a Wakanda accent, and all of a sudden, he is from Nigeria, and he's the royalty. And shut the hell up, man. What is the matter with you? This is what I'm talking about. You can't be a minority in the WWE without being a stereotype.
Oh, yeah.
They gave him a spear.
Well, it goes back to even the early 90s. They brought back Tony Atlas, not as Mr. USA, but as Simba Sulu or something like that. I can't remember. The character name just is escaping me, but they legitimately brought him back and dressed him up like the cover of National Geographic.
How is the NAACP not
Saba Simba? Saba Simba, that was the name. There we go. Saba
Simba Kuta Kente, I don't care. Why is Apollo Crews a fake African? How is Al Sharpton not talking about this? In the UFC, you have two Nigerian champions, legitimate, Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman. Yes. But on WWE, you have a guy chasing a championship who has to talk like a Nigerian in order to get some kind of attention. This is racism.
My honest belief is Vince finally discovered the MCU and just finished watching Black Panther and is like, that's pretty cool. Let's do that. But
no. He finally got some fast food. Somebody gave him his order who had an accent on, and he decided, yeah, that's what Apollo Crews should be.
I have no argument because I agree with you 100%. Like, it's a joke. Like, it's not very good. Like, I mean,
and that's the problem. It's not a joke. This is serious. Yeah. This is not funny. This is Can I swear on this thing? I don't think I have before.
Go for it.
This is bullshit. This is absolutely that. Like, you've got to be kidding me. They gave him a spear.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and not an edge spear, not a Thunder Rosa spear, not a spear, but an actual, like, this is what you use to hunt
an African spear, like a Zulu warrior that used to throw that at people. Like, first of all, why is he allowed to bring that to the ring?
It's a foreign object. Weapon. Well, it's a
foreign object. Ugh. All right. All that aside, okay, they had a match and whatever.
The match itself, from what it was 5:45. I thought they had just started to get going, and then they pulled the finish out on us here.
What was that?
It was kind of just was really, like it was the old double pin spot, but
Big E won the double pin spot somehow.
By lifting his shoulder up. And now if you watch SmackDown on Friday, they'll probably say, hey, we have a super secret reverse angle camera, and it'll be some camera angle that they didn't show during the pay-per-view that shows that Crews had his shoulder up, before the
again
as well.
fake logic. Like, there's nothing but cameras throughout all of the Thunderdome.
Yes.
There's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no real people. It's just cameras and lenses and stuff.
That's right.
But they're going to find a fake angle to say, hey, his shoulders were down.
Because they've done it before.
This
is the old championship held. This is typically the thing that they use to prior to having the championship held in abeyance while they suss out something big for the pay-per-view. So I could see them doing this and then maybe throwing 4 or 6 people in to a intercontinental title ladder match type thing like they did at WrestleMania 31, perhaps. Or maybe like a fatal 4-way at worst, something along those lines.
Either way, the logic makes zero sense, especially the end of it, because Apollo Crews gives them a few angle slams, which I don't know what they're going to call it for Apollo Crews. Maybe the slam or something. Because why the hell not? Who cares about racism? I know you're holding your face right now. But
that's because you can see me, but anyway.
Because seriously, this is in the logic. What is the point of this? So Biggie is supposed to be mad that Apollo Crews gave him a slam after he lost the match. So I'm going to put my title back on the line so I could fight you and go back to the end of the line. You lost.
That's one way of that they would argue it. I'm just presenting, like I said, I think that having seen this angle play out before, that they're going to walk out and basically say, look, we looked at the tape from Sunday. You didn't win the match, but you also didn't win the match. Therefore, the title is being held up. And if you want it, come back and see us at Mania because you two are in a ladder match with 4 other jokers. So
why would the title be held up? In case of a draw, the title doesn't change hands.
Yeah, it typically goes back to and that's another thing too, is that it typically goes back to the champion in case of a draw. So
yeah. So again, there's just so much,
I don't know,
lack of logic in this thing. Like on top of the racism, this all bugs me.
Yeah. No, it's strange. It is, and everybody was really excited when Biggie won the Intercontinental title because hey, he'd get a chance to showcase himself and everything. And this has just got to be just killing these guys inside to have to portray this angle out on worldwide television when, why can't there be just a mutual respect angle between 2 guys that are on hot streaks going for the Intercontinental title?
Yes. Why can't it be 2 absolute bulls going out there and locking horns?
Hoss fight.
Yes. One guy can bench press more than John Cena. The other guy, for his size, can wrestle like a cruiserweight.
Yes.
Just have them fight.
And what you do is you don't have them touch until WrestleMania, but you build up their records each week.
Exactly. Destroy some people.
Exactly. Like this.
But no.
Like this should have been like maybe the uneasy tag team. Like this should have been, would have been perfect for this match. I'm just going to throw it out there. Would have been Big E and Apollo Crews teaming up for the SmackDown tag titles against Rude and Ziggler. And having the finish from Banks and Belair, Baszler Jax with this one.
It's a bit redundant, but yeah, I see what you mean.
And then that way that starts off the feud and be like, well, you cost us the match. No, you cost us the match. And that's it. But instead we got cartoony racism 101 with my hands are going all over. So anyways,
let's go to the next match before my brain explodes.
3 minutes and 50 seconds. Braun Strowman defeats Elias with Jackson Riker. And this thing here again was put together last minute. This was a bait and switch.
Next.
I'm just going to use this time just to say that this is about the same amount or the same point in time, I should say, that I jumped on with our friends from the Crosspoint Pro Wrestling group and hung out with them for the rest of the night on Facebook. So shout out to Gio and Jamie Banks over in Crosspoint, and thanks a lot for having me jump on. It was a entertaining rest of the evening, and I wish I would have jumped on sooner, but life and things to do. So there we go.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, they were good. That was a lot of fun tonight. Swapped a lot of good old wrestling stories. It was good. So then we jump to the next match. Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, 12:55, and a match that actually was fairly passable. I thought it was a really entertaining affair with both these guys. Mind you, you see Rollins versus Nakamura on the marquee. Rarely, if ever, these guys are going to disappoint. I thought that it was more than passable. I thought that this one actually kind of lived up to a opening card pay-per-view type level that you would get at like maybe like a Royal Rumble or SummerSlam almost. This was, I had absolutely no problem with this match whatsoever. And Rollins defeats Nakamura, 12:55. Of course, they're building up for Rollins and Cesaro at Mania. And that's going to be a very interesting match. The weird thing that they have Rollins doing is he's dressing in really snazzy suits now and complaining that he got spun 22 times in the giant swing by Cesaro. So trying to get that over.
Okay, so this match is kind of one of those matches where like it's a top quality match that unfortunately we'll get like forget about throughout the rest of the year. Yeah, and then you start to collect at the end of the year like your top matches. You're like, oh yeah, that was a really good match, but you completely forgot about it.
Yeah, and
this should have main evented something.
Oh, it absolutely could have. Yeah, it could have main evented, SmackDown for a week or whatever it was. Like I said, it was very passable. It was. I wouldn't even put it in television quality. I'd put it, where it was on the card is where it should have been on like a major Big Four card. Like this could have definitely have been a mid-card match for SummerSlam or for Royal Rumble, and would have been perfectly in place for this. This was great, and I think the Rollins Cesaro thing is one of the rare things WWE is doing right now that has my interest. I think is pretty cool. Is they got this angle going where Cesaro loves wrestling and wants to try to test himself amongst the best now and that stuff. And he got into the grill of the returning Seth Rollins, and he got into Rollins' head because one night on SmackDown, Rollins was acting like a jerk, and Cesaro put him in the giant swing for 22 rotations just because he can, because he's freaky Cesaro. So, yeah. So, and of course, Rollins seeks vengeance. So what is he going to do? He's going to go after friends of Cesaro first in order to get the match at Mania. And so he did that because Nakamura and Cesaro are boys. So,
which again doesn't really make sense anymore because Sami Zayn was the leader of their weirdo trio,
right?
And then now that he's not there, they're just kind of friends by association.
Yeah, but that's because they kicked them to the curb and they both turned face at about the same time that they kicked Sami to the curb. So
yeah, but they didn't make a big tag team like when they were Cesaro and Sheamus is the bar. They just were two single wrestlers.
Yeah, they were just two singles guys that have mutual respect for one another. That's what it was. So
in a way, I kind of don't like that they just use Shinsuke as a stepping stone for Rollins as a setup with Cesaro. But I mean, you know what? End of the day, really good match. That just reminds me, there was a horrible promo before this that led up to this match where Riddle flies in on a scooter and pitches to Nakamura to join his business of, I guess, tricking out scooters, and he goes on this rant, and then Shinsuke disappears, and he's like, where'd he go, bruh? And he has no comic timing. He's just like RVD without the talent, and then Shinsuke just appears back out when Riddle goes away. I'm just like, this is either Riddle is a horrible actor on the mic, or he's given some terrible lines. But whatever the deal is, just
probably a little from column A, a little from column B, I would say. So
he's like if RVD had a kid that grew up spoiled.
The kid that got all of the Xbox games.
Yeah, he's like the spoiled kid of RVD, dude. Yeah. Okay, dude. Bro, you're gonna trick out these scooters, dude. Shut up.
You make it sound like he's from Crazy Taxi, if people are old enough to remember Crazy Taxi. It's like one of the drivers from the game there or something. Dude.
Or some kind of
I'm heading uptown, man. Let's go.
Whatever Riddle's character is, they gotta stop this nonsense.
Yeah.
It's not appealing. I don't want to buy his merchandise. I don't even know what merchandise he has. He doesn't wear clothes. He looks friggin' naked out there.
Well, flip-flops. That's
flip-flops.
Flip-flops.
What is that? You kick the flip-flops and the fireworks go off?
Yeah.
Just recycle, like, just put this back in the bin. Put it back in the oven, let it bake a little bit more.
Okay.
Not that Riddle needs to be baked any further.
Let's jump to the no holds barred match. This is one that I was really looking forward to seeing, and I thought that this one delivered on all accounts here. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Drew McIntyre defeats Sheamus in 1940, and like I said, I thought that this one really delivered. It started off slow, but once they got into the street fight portion where they fought around the Thunderdome, it was really great. There was an oh my god type spot where Sheamus sent Drew through the video board on one of the levels. I was like, wow, that's unreal. The hard suplex to the floor off of the crates at ringside, that was insane. And it was a matter of who was going to hit their big foot first, the Brogue or the Claymore, and Drew hit the Claymore, and that's it. Drew's on to Lashley at Mania now.
Yeah. So basically, to me, this match is like, remember when Kevin Owens fought Roman Reigns?
At the Rumble, yeah.
Yeah, it was like that, but just done a little bit better.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Like, Drew's going to win this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Sheamus is not going to win, so the outcome is already, what it is. Let's just watch and see what happens. And they brawl everywhere and yada, 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 whatever. Do you think they did that explosion spot just because AEW had a barbed wire exploding cluster F?
Maybe. I think they probably just did it just for wow factor. I don't think that the end of Moxley Omega and the barbed wire death match thing played into it. Maybe upon second thought, they look at it and they'd be like, yeah, we were totally poking fun at them with that or whatever. But I think they just did it because they had the technology to do it. That's it. I don't think there was any rhyme or reason behind it. I think it's just like, oh, this would be cool. Let's do it. All right.
Right. And also, now that we're back at this match, I can finally, talk about how Drew was full blue and white face paint like
yes. Braveheart. Yeah, let's talk about that. Threw me off because I thought my screen was doing something funny. But I looked at it, I was like, no, Drew's got full face paint on.
You thought he was anime sick? Like, what?
No, I thought I was losing another monitor here. Is what I thought because I was watching this. I was like, oh no, is my monitor dying?
So, like, what is that symbolic of? Is it being like, okay, all my other wrestling matches were nothing, but now it's serious because, like, so nothing else that happened before meant anything?
Face paint. No, I think that was just more of there was like, oh, Drew's Scottish, so he could be like Mel Gibson in Braveheart. Okay, let's paint him up. That's it. Whoever.
It's awful.
It's not coming to mind right now what Mel Gibson's role was in Braveheart, but you get what I'm saying.
William Wallace.
That's it. There we go.
Yeah, well, Drew was full out William Wallace in this thing with his kilt, with his sword, with his face paint, with his hair.
Yeah.
Basically, like, this whole thing was Drew McIntyre is supposed to be coming into his own and being his own man, and he's not like 3MB. He's not a child anymore. He's a full-grown Drew McIntyre. Show him what you got as you. Mm-hmm. Okay, forget all that. We want you to be William Wallace. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Can you do that? Can you play the bagpipes? Can you dye your hair red?
Can you
change your name to, like, oh. Just stop with the stereotypes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's another thing to look for. Unfortunately, we got to look forward to for Mania because no doubt that with the big stadium and the big crowd returning and that stuff, that they're going to really play up on the Braveheart motif and maybe that for his entrance or giving him a really elaborate entrance and you name it.
By the way, something I just remembered from this match. Okay, like in Japanese wrestling, you kind of you keep working to try to hit your finisher, and then the guy tries to stop you from hitting your finisher. And at the end,
it's an upward arc. Japanese wrestling, a lot of it. Yeah, it's here's
it's about
set up, and then rising action, and then climax, and it's typical storytelling. Yeah.
Right, and it makes sense because it's like you're trying to hit your finisher because you know that'll finish the match or whatever. So you kind of work your way up to that.
Yeah.
So then the logic in this one is I will hit you with absolutely everything known to man that should kill a human, but the match won't end until I hit my finisher.
Yes. Because
What
WWE.
Like, what the hell?
That's WWE logic from way back when. Like, I mean, like you can look at matches from the late 80s with Hogan and Andre and Hogan and Savage and that stuff, and that was the whole deal.
But I mean, like,
who would hit their finish first, the elbow drop or the leg drop, right? So,
right, but in terms of this match, it's like they've done things to each other that should kill a human.
Yeah.
But none of that matters until he hits a Claymore.
Because they're WWE superstars, damn it.
It's garbage. Like, have some logic. Like, real question. Be it the writers or the bookers or whoever, have they ever been in a real fight in their entire life?
I would think that a small percentage of them weren't.
I'm thinking a large percentage of them.
Oh, sorry, it's a large percentage of them weren't. Sorry.
Yeah, have never been in a real fight in their entire life. Because if they have, be it a bar fight or a fight outside of a club, I'm not saying anything about my personal life, or like whatever.
We ain't judging here.
Yeah, but it's like how a fight actually goes down. No, you don't have a finisher.
No.
Especially when it's a street fight. You throw someone into something and then they're knocked out and then you run away before the police show up.
Yeah.
But I mean,
or you just try to run away yourself. One of the two. That's it.
One of the two. But I mean, I guess in this, you're confined to actually have a wrestling contest or a match or whatever.
Well, not even that. I mean, like, we've all seen that the Thunderdome is built inside a baseball stadium, essentially. So you could just run out to the outside and try to find a nearest fire exit, and then you're gone. Like, it's probably it's not necessarily an airtight environment in there. I mean, you could, it's probably
that's something the Miz would do, but that would make sense for the Miz to do it, or Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the logic in this fight makes absolutely no sense of like bash each other with weapons and the environment, but it doesn't end until I hit my finisher.
All right. Are you ready for some more ridiculousness?
Oh, God. Go ahead.
Alexa Bliss has a pinfall victory over Randy freaking Orton.
Oh, my God.
You know what? They actually surprised me here because if it was a cinematic, which it might be, they shot it like it was a legit match. So, kudos to them for doing that. I thought when this thing was booked, I was like, well, there's our cinematic for tonight. But, that's it. It took 4 minutes and 45 seconds off of the timer. And it took 5 years off of my life. The big story out of this one was the debut of the Burnt Fiend, I guess, or Fiend version. What would this be? 2.0. That's all baked.
Microwave Fiend.
How do you like your feed? Crispy?
No, I want to melt it in the microwave like a plate of nachos when you don't care anymore.
He kind of looks like I can't remember the exact reference, but it was in a Green Jelly video way back in the day, and I think it was The Adventures of Shitman or something. This looks like this.
That is a great title for what this feud is. The Adventures of Shitman.
Shitman, yes.
That's what I thought happened when his hand oozed up from the ring, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
See, I thought it was like they're ripping off Jason from the Friday the 13th thing and that stuff.
Yeah, but his hand was all like bubbly, like he was a monster, or like who are the bad guys in Ninja Turtles?
Yeah. And like Shredder's people, right?
Is Bebop and Rocksteady?
Rocksteady, yeah.
That's what I thought was coming up to the ring. I'm like, they've officially lost it.
No, I mean, like, I'm sure.
And here comes Kevin Nash as Super Shredder.
Could you imagine just Vince in the back just being like, it's not bubbly enough, god damn it. I want him bubbly.
This stuff is just, it's preposterous, it's ridiculous. This doesn't entertain me. This pisses me off more than anything, watching this shit go down.
Yeah.
It's a waste of Alexa Bliss. I mean, no, she doesn't bump, but I mean, she's still an entertaining character in the ring or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a waste of her. It's a waste of a legend that is Randy Orton.
Mm.
And, God, Bray Wyatt, what the hell is this? We don't want to see you anymore. They ruined the gimmick. They're now keep going with it. Like they keep putting down money on this thing that's just crapped out already. Just stop. It's over.
Well, I mean, it's building up to the eventuality of Orton and Wyatt, or Orton and the Fiend again at WrestleMania, but it's going to be. I predict that this one will probably be a cinematic. I can't see them legitimately doing something in the ring unless they want to do something in the ring with it. But,
honestly, though, like as a viewer, what is the point? Like,
I mean,
you burned his house down.
Yeah, you burned him.
You burned him alive.
Yeah.
Like, when does it end? And when do I care? Like, do you have to shoot him? Is that going to be a part of wrestling now, where he gets a 12-gauge shotgun and just blows a hole through him? Like, well, when does this end? Where's the finish line of this?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Whatever wackiness they do at Mania.
But that's the problem, is that, hey, find out. How is he going to kill him? It's like, you've already lost me. I don't care. If you can't burn someone alive, what's the point of this?
Maybe Randy Orton will use that dip from Who Framed Roger Rabbit that used to kill all the cartoon characters on him. And we'll get
the acid dip. Yeah,
he can kill the acetone dip.
Yeah. Or he could he could lower him into the vat of lava or whatever, like the T-1000.
Oh yeah.
And he starts shape shifting into all his characters that he was before. And you see Husky Harris, and you see everyone else just kind of melt.
And he gives the thumbs up at the end, like.
Yeah. Then he gives the thumbs up or whatever. Nope. No, because he'll come back from that somehow.
Of course he will. It's WWE.
Yeah, no, they're going to stab him in the heart.
This is the new Undertaker. Mr. TL, this is the new Undertaker, man. This gimmick is the new Undertaker, so.
Except it sucks, and I'm not scared of him. The Undertaker terrified me as a kid. Well, so did Paul Bear.
Yeah.
But this is just stupid.
Shall we move to the main event?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know how they had a main event when they cut a hole in the floor in the first place to get the Fiend up there.
Which makes me think that was a shot as live segment more than anything else. So
let's go to the main event.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to talk about the sexy pin and how much freaking fanboys on Twitter and forums and that stuff are just absolutely losing their what over it. But
over what?
So the pin at the end of I guess I will talk about it. The pin at the end of Bliss and Orton. Bliss basically straddles Orton in his midsection.
Oh, right. She straddled the Viper.
And,
pun intended.
Yeah. it's taken off and given a ride of its own. It's very meme worthy, I guess. But all
right, main event. Let's go.
Main event time. Roman Reigns, the champion, the Universal Champion, taking on Daniel Bryan. Edge is a special guest ring enforcer. This match went 30 minutes even, according to the Wikipedia timer, which makes it the longest match of the night. But it was a singles match for the WWE Universal Championship, with Roman Reigns getting the win on Daniel Bryan, but not after some controversy, as Edge ends up jumping into the ring after the ref is incapacitated, and then Edge himself is incapacitated, but that allows Bryan to slap on the label lock on Roman Reigns, and Reigns is fading, and then at the end of this thing, you just see Reigns just give a little subtle, like a little
tap. He tapped out. He
tap.
Absolutely tapped out.
A little tap.
He tapped.
Tappity tap.
Little taparoo.
And Edge breaks it up by using a chair on Bryan and basically setting up Reigns for the pinfall victory. So,
this one is
basically picking his opponent for Mania here at this point. That says, no, I don't want Bryan, I want Reigns. So,
yeah, this one was a little bit interesting actually to me, because the match itself was pretty good. I mean, doesn't Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan always have a match at Fastlane? Like, they're Mr. Fastlane?
So this was, and we were talking about this over in the Crosspoint group, this was the 6-year anniversary of the very first Fastlane pay-per-view. And that was the main event of the very first Fastlane pay-per-view, was Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
This was in the build. This was the build for WrestleMania 31 in Santa Clara. So this was when the fans got Bryan into the main event slot for this one. And if Bryan beat Reigns, he would get the WrestleMania title shot against Brock Lesnar that year. But in case how that happened and went out, it was a really good match, and Reigns came out on top. What happens here? This was a somewhat acceptable to fairly good at times match, and Reigns came out on top. Is that fair to say?
I actually think it was a good match. I mean, Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns seem to have some kind of chemistry in there. It's good.
They do, yeah. They do.
It is predictable. Like, remember I was talking about how when Kevin Owens fights anybody, you kind of know he's not going to win?
Yes.
In this one, it's the same kind of feeling. It's like the main event is set to be Edge versus Roman Reigns. There's no way Daniel Bryan wins this match. But how they did that ending was quite interesting, where Roman Reigns really does tap out to the yes lock, and then Edge has to put a stop to it, saying, "This is my time," or he says something like that, or he says, "This is my show." I don't exactly remember the quote. It was something strong, but it wasn't those words. Either way, he's saying that's like, it's going to be him versus Roman Reigns. However, it really made you question, why can't it be Daniel Bryan versus Edge? Because that would also be a tremendous match.
Why can't it be Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge?
Because that would make me think that Edge really can't go full time. And that they really need that third in there to have that barrier to hide that fact.
That's right. But also the irony in that would be the two guys that were potential injury liabilities a few years ago are main eventing your WrestleMania with, the third guy who has leukemia or had just beat leukemia. So
yeah, all these guys are survivors.
Yeah. So you'd have three guys that have beaten incredible odds in the main event at WrestleMania. So I still see Bryan in this title picture, which is weird. Like they have it advertised as Edge and Roman Reigns. It wouldn't surprise me that, a week out or a couple weeks out, they throw Daniel Bryan into this mix again. And we have a triple threat for the Universal title, because that's, a Mania tradition is once in a while there's a triple threat for the title. We've seen it before. So,
well, because the problem is WWE never learns and they don't listen either.
Yeah,
is that Daniel Bryan, for one, deserves better. The fact that he keeps getting into these triple threat main events is because he gets there by his performances, and they're like, "Wow, this guy is really good," and the fans really do get behind him. And I guess now it'll just be on social media or with eyeballs or whatever. It's like they have to keep remembering that Daniel Bryan is good,
right?
Because they went into this completely, head first that it's going to be Edge versus Roman Reigns. That's it. That's going to be the WrestleMania main event. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I guess Daniel Bryan really is a good wrestler here. We should do something with him. If it turned into a triple threat, it's okay. Storyline wise, it makes more sense if it is just Edge versus Roman Reigns. But they should have given Daniel Bryan. They need to just always remember and stop forgetting that Daniel Bryan is a main event. He is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, have him go against AJ. He's an attraction. Have him against AJ Styles for something. You know what I mean? Like, tear the house down.
Well, we could have Bryan versus Rollins, too. Those guys can tear the house down. Bryan versus Nakamura would tear the house down.
Bryan versus Nakamura sounds great to me. I will watch that right now if I could. Like, that's amazing. The thought of that match.
Even with juggernauts coming up, I mean, you got the young and hungry Big E, versus Bryan. That would be fun, too. I mean, he's got no shortage of dance partners there. Yeah,
but they have a shortage of people that believe in him until they finally remember, oh, yeah, he is pretty good. Maybe we could use him.
Yeah. Well, it's nice like tonight to do that, that remind people who he is. So,
but in a way, this main event and the way that it finished out, it kind of shit on Edge.
A little bit.
Because,
yeah, a little
because
bit.
he looked like the heel going out of it because he just stopped Daniel Bryan from winning and allowed Roman Reigns to win the match.
Mm-hmm.
And him just walking out all frustrated and Edge-like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, dang, they just shit all over Edge on this one.
They did. Kind of made him look a little weaker than he did at the end of the Rumble in January. So
very much so. It's like we wanted a full, ready to go Edge who's come back from his second injury and everything, and be like, he wins the Rumble and now he takes on Roman Reigns, who's like the top heel in all of wrestling to me. And it would have made sense if it was that Edge versus Roman Reigns, but now they've kind of muddied the waters, and Edge doesn't look like the same guy anymore. He came out of this looking like a complete punk.
Mm-hmm.
And not the CM kind.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we got some loose ends that I want to hit on quickly here before we wrap this up.
Sure.
So first things first, Peacock, the streaming service that made its debut tonight with this event, that apparently this is going to be how WWE distributes its specials, its quote-unquote pay-per-views from now on. It's not going to be through the WWE network in the United States. It'll be through Peacock. A lot of chatter on Twitter saying that, surprise, surprise, Peacock didn't really work very well for anybody trying to watch this show. They couldn't scroll back and forth. They couldn't do a lot of different things on the video that you'd normally be able to do on the network. They couldn't pause it. Once you started the show, you were kind of committed to it. And so a lot of people just couldn't log into the service for whatever reason. So a lot of people just ended up watching the pay-per-view either through their old WWE network accounts or using VPN and trying to log into Canadian accounts or whatever else. So the debut for Peacock seems to be a little bit of a tonight from what I'm reading. So
honestly, that's kind of standard. Whenever you have those new kind of services come out, there's always those early hiccups. Yep. I guarantee they're going to fix that because they wouldn't continue going if that's going to be the standard service.
There was a tweet, I'm just trying to find it now, that they put out after the pay-per-view, and I said that it's basically a evergreen tweet. Yes, I have it right here. Quote unquote from at WWE. Any issues occurring with tonight's broadcast of WWE Fastlane will be addressed in the future.
Okay.
That's your evergreen tweet, because you can you can take WWE Fastlane out and just basically put, I don't know, WWE WrestleMania. You can put WWE TLC. You can put WWE Survivor Series. You name it. Because
again, that's a piss off tweet, because that's like, we acknowledge it's effed up and we're not going to do anything about it.
We're not going to do anything about it. Not tonight.
Much like our storylines.
Any issues occurring with tonight's broadcast of WWE Fastlane will be addressed in the future. I can imagine that becoming a meme sometime soon. So there we go.
Again, you keep doing this to people, they're not going to come back.
Exactly. So we discussed the new Fiend. We've discussed Peacock. I guess it's time just to talk about, I don't know, the poll. It's poll time.
The poll.
Time for the poll.
Time for the poll.
Yes. So, every WWE pay-per-view I post on my Twitter at Kellen Nitro post-show, and you can follow it now whenever you want so you don't miss out on the next one. Your pick for match of the night. So, everybody's basically unanimous pick for match of the night this time around. Only got 8 votes for this one, but, that's fair for the pay-per-view leading into WrestleMania. These pay-per-views usually don't get too much action, but Bryan and Reigns got 6 votes, and McIntyre and Sheamus got 2 votes. So there's your 8. Everybody else got nothing. So
you're all wrong. All of you are wrong.
According to Twitter,
Rollins versus Shinsuke.
According to Twitter, the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns main event was match of the night for this one. So
you're all wrong.
Okay. Anyways, there we go. So, any final thoughts?
We doing the rankings or no? Or the score, sorry. Are we doing the score?
The score? What
For
do
the
you mean?
pay-per-view.
Oh, yes, the out of 10. I forgot how I did my own show. That was fun. Yeah, go ahead. Out of 10, what would you give this thing?
I'm a little bit torn
Mhm.
because there's the score that it deserves, and there's the way it made me feel.
Mhm.
The score it deserves is a 5.5.
Yep.
The way it made me feel was a 4.0.
Okay.
Because it just made me so angry throughout all of this. The amount of stupidity, the lack of logic, the ridiculous storylines, the fumbled matches. It just angered me, especially like Apollo Crews alone
Yeah.
makes me want to give this thing the 4.0. But
I'd
I guess
I'd
realistically, it's a 5.5.
I'd split the difference and just give it a 5 if I were you. Then if that's the case. But
Yeah,
whatever.
but I wanted known that I hate it.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? Like for
Fair
what they're
enough.
doing
Fair enough.
with their stereotyping and this
Yeah.
garbage that they're doing, I don't know.
Fair enough. Okay. So I'm a little bit more optimistic than you. I have it down as a 7 out of 10.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It's a 7 out of 10. Granted,
You saw Apollo Crews and still decided to give this a 7 out of 10?
it got deducted marks because of the Apollo Crews stuff. Yes.
You saw the return of the Fiend through the ring and it still got a 7?
Yeah. I got it as a 7 out of 10. Yeah. Like I said, I
You
thought
saw that stupid crap with Shane McMahon and you still give this a 7 out of 10?
That made it lose points. Yes. No, I didn't like the bait and switch there with that, but
you saw Riddle and it's got a 7 out of 10?
That was on the pre-show. That doesn't count towards the pay-per-view score.
His promo alone, not to mention the Old Spice commercial that had friggin' what's his name?
We didn't even talk about that.
Because I just remembered it and how much it made me angry. What are they doing?
Hey, I'm still sticking by my 7 out of 10 here. I thought Rollins and Nakamura was good. Like I said, we discussed. I really liked the no holds barred match with McIntyre and Sheamus. I thought that was, very entertaining. The main event, you could sit back and watch. It's very a very digestible watch, and that finish was actually pretty interesting to watch. All the intricacies of that finish, and now with your opinion on it and that stuff, I see now what this kind of looked like with Edge. Kind of made him look like, well, it basically made him look like the ultimate opportunist, which he is. So that's along those lines. The duck marks, like I said, for Apollo Crews, the duck marks for Shane, and the retribution thing in the pre-show, even though, like I said, doesn't count towards the pay-per-view, but still kind of fascinating, I have to say. It's kind of okay. That's interesting. And the Bliss Orton Fiend thing is a train wreck, but I like bad stuff, so cool. It's right up my alley. So yeah, I think
okay.
7 out of 10. Yeah, it's fair. fair
I think you're being extremely generous because for you watching the pre-show and the entire show itself, in 4 hours, they gave you less than an hour of actual entertainment. And the other part, the other 3 hours that wasn't entertaining, was complete trash. I don't know how on that scale works out to a 7. That's generous. Even if you just look at the main event, you basically had it like 3-3. 3 good matches to 3 crap matches.
I also take into account production value and all sorts of stuff that I see that they're doing, like video wise and live event wise. It translates well through, the camera and everything like that. And I like the aesthetic look of the Thunderdome. I think it's kind of neat how they have people on those boards kind of zooming in, and it'd be kind of cool if they could actually physically interact with what's going on in the ring, but they haven't figured out that technology yet. But
okay, so if you're gonna give production value stuff, but the camera switches and the zoom in and out and the switch, you never actually see any real contact being made.
That's a deduction, but
Riddle and Apollo Crews. Riddle and Apollo Crews.
Like I said, I think it's just more of the optimist on me and that stuff. I'm giving it a 7. So that's how it is. That the way she be.
I'm trying to collect myself.
just vaguely.
Woosah. All right. You are entitled to your opinion, and this being your channel and the dedication you put to wrestling.
Oh, thank you.
It is all right.
Yes, that's right. But you're gonna hold me to the fire if I come out on night 1 of WrestleMania and say this is the greatest night ever, and it was like a 2 out of 10.
Oh man! You know what? My official score here it is. It is a 4.5.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna come. Yes, that is my score. Is a 4.5. It is a 0.5 under. It fails. It is a failure.
Okay. So Fastlane was filled with potholes for you. All right, cool. So. Anyways, that's all I've got for right now. I'd like to thank Mr. TL for joining me once again. If you guys like him and his commentaries, let me know. Sure to bring him back.
I am not going to be liked after this.
Well, hey, there might be some people that, agree with you too. I think that there's, WWE is great at generating mixed reviews. So that's probably what they're going to get here with this.
And at least all I can say on my half is I'm being true to me and myself. This is the way I really feel. This is not some kind of devil's advocate or anything. This is me being real. For WrestleMania, no. 2 nights of this?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get like heart medication to something to get through this one.
Hard liquor.
Or that, just put it right to my veins.
Yeah, there we go. Liquor, I hardly know her. But anyway.
Mr. Don Rickles, everyone.
Hi-yo. Wah, 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 wah. Anyway. So, yeah. Man, this is going to be quite the deal here. We'll see what happens in a few weeks, and of course come back and join us and we'll chat about it at the end of it all or whatever. I still haven't really figured out what all I'm going to do that week for coverage or whatever, but I typically think of those things spur of the moment week of, and it'll be good regardless. So if you guys like the video, tell your friends, tell your family, spread the links around. Of course, if for whatever reason you got to take off and you can't watch the video all in one setting or whatever, we're on SoundCloud too, so just click on the SoundCloud link and download it to your favorite device, and we'll go with you. I mean, hell, we'll live in your phone for a day. It doesn't matter. You might want to ditch that app that's over in the corner because your private information being leaked everywhere, but other than that, that's it. So,
and ain't nobody got no time for that.
Ain't nobody got no time for that. So, for Mr. TL, I'm Kellen Nitro. Later days, happy wrestling watching. We'll catch you next time on Nitro Maniac TV's A Wrestling Unlimited. Do take care. Bye-bye.